Afternoon of Sunday, June the 4th, or January the 4th, 1959. The time is exactly 2:30. And needless to say, if you've been listening to weather reports here to the Middle West, we have some bitter cold weather. Last night, or this morning, when I got ready to go to church, I looked at the thermometer. As I went out by, and it registered 20 below. There was no wind, but still 20 below is 20 but cold weather. So I'm going to stop 1 second and see how I am doing on this. So here goes for a stop. Well, I find that so far, I believe the voice has been coming in pretty good, and I'm back on. It's been quite some time since I've felt that I had a leisure moment to sit down. There's some time that I was in the talking mood. So now I guess that we've got this thing all set up here. Wait till I get it turned toward me where I can get some voice in it. I was laying down out here in the Davenport. It's, as I told you, bitter cold. I just, as I went out to start the car, which I just tried it to go to Mass, it didn't start. And I was afraid to try my truck, but then later I waited till about 11 o'clock when the sun would come out a little more. I went back up and my truck did start, so I went around then to Morris's to do the chores. I knew that everything would be pretty well froze up. Well, let's see, when the devil was it? The 22nd to 3rd of November, I believe. Anyway, whatever, at any rate, as far as to the date, it was the Tuesday just before Thanksgiving. And that was the day of Frank Donahue's sale. It rained some that day, and we had a very nice fall up until then. The weather was what you'd call real seasonable. It was nice. The ground actually hadn't froze any. There was no freezing weather of any consequence. And that day it was raining some, and I hustled around to hurry to get my work done. I thought I wanted to go into the sale, so I dropped back out, parked my truck, got in my car. I went down in to drive into the sale. Well, hell, there was cars parked up around the bend in the corner. I drove down in, and finally I found a place that I could get sawed around right in the middle of the road and turned around, and I came back. I thought, well, the hell with that. No use in me standing around here in the rain. The women of the church were serving the lunch, and that was going to be my noon meal, and watch the sale, a sandwich or a cup of coffee, but I didn't. And so I come back, and I got the old pickup, and that damn red tank or hog water at Morris's. I thought, well, since I'm not too busy, I'll fill the water as they had them scattered, a couple of them in the field. You'd haul it out with the damn truck, the pickup on the tank and fill them. I did. Well, better I'd have been asleep that afternoon, because that same night it started to get cold, and it did. It got cold then. Like over Thanksgiving, too, there was colder than Billy hell, and I couldn't find the heaters, the lamps. I didn't know where they were to do any thawing. And then the cold weather came, well, with the damn pigs to try to pour a bucket of water in a trough, and maybe it freezes before you get it poured in. So that's what the hell happened. And then sometime before Christmas, about a week, 10 days before Christmas, it softened up a little, and Joe Baker and Highmeyer that runs the store in Buchanan, they decided that they'd get the tank heaters and get them all thawed out and for them, and just a kind and neighborly act. They did. So then that was all done, and I've been keeping the heaters going where you can have water. Well, livestock, without all the water access to water at any time they want, if they don't have it, they hardly what you call exist. They just kind of shrivel up and dry and blow away. So I knew that with this last bitter cold streak that hit us, all of the papers had been talking, the radio and television and everything. There was a storm brewing in the northwest. It was coming through the plain states, the plateau states, the plain states, and the prairie states, working on up, and that it would hit Iowa sometime late Thursday night. It did. And it got cold. And Friday night was oh, 0 or a little below, and a wind blowing, a strong northwest wind, which God knows it's 0 is cold enough without a wind blowing, and it's unbearable with the wind blowing. So we got, then I went over, and I guess I didn't have some of the heaters turned high enough. I knew they'd be frozen this morning, and they were out. And so from the 11 o'clock until 2:30, when I just got back home, I had spent that time trying to get everything thawed out. I got the water all running again, and now if the wind goes down, I got them situated to where I believe they'll keep burning. You can keep the heaters running. It'll keep the water thawed or almost thawed in, I suppose, 40 below. If you don't have a wind or these gusts of wind to blow them out. Well, on the big tank heater, the heater in the tank, yesterday, which was Saturday, I got home around 1:30 or so, and I was in a hurry to get back over them to see them. I had checked them in the morning, and I knew that they weren't going to be too good. Well, Johnny was telling me, well, of course, he'd know more about that than I would. He said that in cold or windy weather, even if you do get the water too warm, you've got to turn the heaters up higher, because a gust of wind will come and whoo, he said down it'll go, and your flame will almost go out, and about the time it starts to get back up and get its wind, it's just like you'd blow on the old lamp. If you couldn't blow it the first time, the second or third would. Well, he said that's what it would do with the wind if you had your heater turned down to where you thought your water would run normal. Well, then, now for the last 3 or 4 weeks, a matter of something like that, each weekend when Morris gets home, I've been going over getting his electric razor, and it's a Norelco. I've been getting it to shave Father. He has trouble shaving, and so I have been, by getting that, I've been getting along very well, and I want to see you in a minute. I want to start in the car. I'm sending a little postscript to Bill, so I'm going to take my truck and pull the car if you have a few minutes when you get time. You get warmed up. I'm in no hurry. I want to finish this, but if you're ready at any time. But as I was... Yeah, well, then you let me know before you go.
Would you like to talk with them?
And so, yeah, I know it didn't start. Yours started, did it? Or did you get somebody to push you?
Started with the booster.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to pull mine. But anyhow, back to the razor. Now, Bill, I find that the only type of razor that's going to work is the Norelco. Now, I and Morris were talking different times that, of course, we know that the other time when you had it here, it is a mistake. And the mistake was that Mom was trying to run it. Well, she had the idea that she was taking the whiskers off just the same as I and Morris when we were boys. She'd get the washcloth and go to wash her face and damn near take the hide and all. Well, as Johnny worded it then, I didn't know whether he remembered or not. We were talking the other day. Yeah, well, Johnny said, I don't remember so much about that, but when she got that damn washcloth, she'd damn near take the scabs and all off of your face. But I don't know. I believe I honestly have the barber's touch with this Norelco, then and I'll comb the hair, and get the washcloth and afterward and everything, and a little powder and everything, just almost like the barber, and it's very appealing, pleasing, and so now I'm going to send this tape out in the morning, and here's the deal. Now, first, like you always have a deal with me. Well, here's the deal. If you can get a hell of a good deal on an Norelco there, why, you immediately, as soon as you listen to this reel, you turn around and send the Norelco. Well, I'll go half with you on it. Or if you think I could get a better deal here, then you let me know in either case, because I don't want to keep continually borrowing a razor. But now this razor a year ago was your idea, which it turned out it was the right idea, but
What you blame Mother for?
Yeah, well, I didn't undertake to operate it. Had I believe, operated it then, it would have been as successful then as now, but that's neither here nor there, so I guess I'll eat crow and say I was wrong. So now if you want to, then whichever way, like I'll send this tomorrow, which is Monday. You should have it by Thursday. Well, then Thursday night you can drop a postcard as to how you have your mind made up, whether you want to send one, or whether you don't want any part of it, or whether you would like, as I say, to go the half here, or then if you decide that you can do a better deal there. But now the Norelco is the one. I'll tell you why. It runs flatter, and it would have to be in from, even I believe if I were going to use one myself, which I don't, and have no intentions of God giving me the use of my fingers for a while, that I won't. But like with Morris, where he has to use one hand on his, he's settled on the Norelco, which is by far the superior razor for that type of work.
That type of face.
Of face, or that type of work, either one, whichever way you want to word it. So now then, we will have it. I'm going to kind of leave it that way now. As you're listening to the rest of the broadcast, now you might think that, among other things, that I have been like Hannah Sullivan pouty, and I haven't. I haven't lost any interest in the recorder or anything like that, but it's just that, well, with business and everything and my other added chores, I don't have the time, and then in the evening sometimes I do like to tomcat around a little, and there just hasn't seemed to have been enough hours in a day lately. But so I'm going to stop for a second now till we see how it's coming. I'm going to make this stop. Well, now as you were listening in here a little bit ago, that was Johnny and I. We were conversing on getting the car started, so I'm going to have to. He's watching until water tanks or the college drink, and he wants to go. So I'm going to have to cut this short at any given time. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and try to finish out as much of it as I can, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mom when I get my car started. It wouldn't start. I'm going to have to pull it with the truck. Well, you know, one of these damn Dynaflows, you can't start them in with a pull or a 6-foot thing, like with the old clutch type, where all you have to do is turn the motor over. Now, why the devil it is that a car will start with a pull where they won't offer the battery? The battery, I think, the starter takes about all the current is in it, and there isn't enough there to give any shot of spark into the plugs where they'll start. So when Johnny comes back in, I know he wants to go home, and he'll help me start it. I'm lighting a cigarette now. That's why the flaw or the break in the talk is. I think I can talk a little better that way. Back now to Morris. Now he got home the night before New Year's, and he or New Year's Eve, and he'll go back then tonight, Sunday night, and then he should get, with any kind of luck, get home again Friday night until Sunday night, which seems to be to him almost as much as a furlough home at any time. Are you ready? If you are, then I'll stop. And so, you want to say hello to him or anything?
It's fine and cool, Bill, in the old mud state. You better stay where you're at. You got a damn fine place.
It's only about 20 below here today, that's all.
Well, now, they're both gone. And they've turned the tape over to me to finish it up and have it ready to tie up tonight, so he wants to send it out. I was so surprised. I was lying here on the Davenport, and I didn't ever think that he would make a tape. Well, he told me the day before yesterday that he'd make one when he got ready, and he would make it himself, and like he always did. And so he took the notion today. He's been having the last 2 or 3 Saturdays. He has to be barber for Dad. It just got so that he just cannot use it himself, the razor. And he applies the soap to his hair and his eyebrows, and we're afraid that he might cut himself. So Paul's been doing it. And I hope that he gets a razor of our own so that he can be shaved oftener than once a week. It seems to bother him a lot. The whiskers, well, he's always been pretty particular. He's always shaved every other day, or every 2 or 3 days at least. But now he hasn't been, only every week. And so I think that was one incentive that Paul made an effort to make the tape today because he was gone all afternoon and was late for his dinner, but he was awful hungry when he came. And of course, now Evelyn always has dinner on Sundays at 4 o'clock or 5. She'd be awful nice and get him coffee and everything, but he said he didn't want to bother her to get dinner for him because they don't have dinner only on late on Sundays. When they go to Mass and they come home, they're usually all fasting, especially the children, David and Maureen and Morris, so that they have a heavy breakfast then. And then they have the meal later in the day, which we try to do, but we never have seemed to have very good luck with Paul. He's never pleased. He wants to be either nibbling all the time or having a meal. But so that way it just keeps Vera busy all the time. None of us got to go to Mass this morning. I know Paul didn't say that. I was amused especially that he told Vera that he didn't want her to be talking on the phone and telling that he couldn't get his car started. Of course, he's so proud of his Buick that I guess he doesn't want that broadcasted. But he tried for a long time, and he and Vera were both out in the car, and it was too cold for Vera to walk. So he decided that they both come back in, that they made the effort and they couldn't get to go. So none of us got to go. I was glad it wasn't me that had got ready and went out to a car because I'd be more disappointed than Vera was even. She has courage enough to face those things. Johnny seemed to think the pizza...
I just finished the dishes at 10 after 3 when Paul came home. I've had dinner ready since 12:30, waiting for Paul to come. He went over there to do the chores. And it's been in the oven, and was almost burnt to crisp. But anyhow, we had roast pork.
Well, it was a very good dinner. It wasn't burnt.
We had roast pork that Johnny had some pig butchered